Former Russian Deputy Defense Minister Pavel Popov detained on fraud charges. Iran's supreme leader opens door to negotiations with former Russian Deputy Defense Minister Pavel Popov detained on fraud charges. Iran's supreme leader opens door to negotiations with U.S. over Tehran's nuclear program. UK's Starmer calls for European cooperation to tackle far-right. Musk beats suit over promoting Dogecoin pyramid scheme. Former FTX executive Ryan Salami drops bid to vacate conviction. Shiba Inu, SHIB, can now be used as collateral on Kraken exchange. Trump asks federal court to intervene in hush money case in bid to toss conviction, delay sentencing. Trump campaign was warned not to take photos at Arlington before altercation, defense official says. Trump shares social media posts with QAnon phrases and calls for jailing lawmakers' special counsel. U.S. Congress House plans votes on Biosecure Act, other measures hitting China. Local governments in China to smash iron pots, sell the steel to stave off debt risk. World's lowest birth rate spurs Korea to hire foreign nannies. Trump says he wants to make IVF treatments paid for by government or insurance companies, if elected. Condom use is decreasing in a worrying way among European adolescents. Pentagon approves additional support to Secret Service for election campaigns. FBI accesses encrypted email accounts of Trump shooter, and FBI sees no definitive ideology for Trump shooter. The plot to attack Taylor Swift's Vienna shows was intended to kill thousands, a CIA official says. Winona Ryder says being blatantly sexually harassed in her 20s and 30s soured her desire to make movies. Cate Blanchett says there is a distinct lack of shame in modern society. Tokyo Film Festival launches Women's Empowerment section. J.D. Vance booed by firefighter union audience after Walz's appeal to same group. Kamala Harris could make history as the first president to work at McDonald's. Musk's X censors coverage of Trump's Arlington incident, citing potential spam. As X flags NPR story on Trump, Arlington as unsafe. £1 billion spent housing homeless families in England. In Canada, Poilievre says he would set immigration targets based on housing, jobs and healthcare trends. 72 million Americans receive Social Security benefits. In the U.S., Army says Arlington National Cemetery worker was pushed aside by Trump aides. Arlington worker in altercation with Trump staffers not pressing charges because she fears retaliation. Jack White says he's suing Trump campaign over Seven Nation Army video. ABBA demand Trump campaign stop using their music at rallies. NVIDIA, Apple in talks to join OpenAI's new funding round, valuing it at over $1 billion. Dell raises forecasts as demand surges for NVIDIA-powered AI servers. California legislature passes controversial kill switch AI safety bill. GM must face big class action over faulty transmissions. 5 months ago, GM 8-speed transmission lawsuit granted class action certification. Toyota global output falls for 6th straight month in July. Mazda 3 4th generation's class action lawsuit claims defects for thousands of vehicles. Apple blocked from training Apple Intelligence on several publishing websites, and Apple's new iOS developer beta lets you remove objects from pictures using AI. Generative AI coding startup Magic lands $320 million investment from Eric Schmidt, Atlassian and others. In Germany, the coalition government wants to allow facial recognition with internet photos. China's dielectric wafers made of artificial sapphire could extend battery life. SK Hynix develops 6th generation 10 nanometers class DDR5 with the world's first 16GB DRAM modules. Chipmaker claims electric savings of up to 30% for data centers. NVIDIA's future relies on chips that push technology's limits. Paralympic Games begin with dazzling opening ceremony through heart of Paris. Taliban bans mixed martial arts for being too violent. Private equity sets sights on $30 billion youth sports industry. New Zealand says Australian-owned banks run oligopoly. U.S. Latinos contributed $1.3 trillion to the GDP, about as much as Florida's economy, report finds. In Argentina, for pension moratorium, 70% of those who retired in 2022 did so without contributions. All states plan to raise home insurance premiums by 34% approved by California officials. Hong Kong can expect 3 to 5 more typhoons in 2024, observatory says. EV prices need to drop by 1/3 if Canada wants to hit sales targets, says government report. Denmark wants to ban encrypted Telegram and Signal chats. Indonesia considers banning Telegram over poor content moderation. In the absence of a representative for the X network in Brazil, the STF blocks financial resources from Elon Musk's Starlink. Salmon will soon swim freely in the Klamath River for first time in a century once dams are removed. Israel and Hamas agree to zone 3 days pauses for Gaza polio vaccinations, WHO says. In the UK, smoking ban in pub gardens and outdoor venues being considered due to huge burden on NHS, Starmer says. Netherlands okays use of its F-16s by Ukraine on Russian territory. We are not at war with Moscow. Italy bans Ukraine from using its weapons to strike Russia. A very big Russia problem. NATO commander warns of post-Ukraine war threat to US and Europe. Belarusian fighter jets shot down Shahid drone over their country. North Korea unveils clones of Israeli kamikaze drones. Pentagon withholds $5 million per F-35 jet as deliveries resume. Yelp sues Google over dominance in local search. Alibaba wins Beijing's approval and end to years-long scrutiny. Samsung shows interest in Nokia Mobile Networks assets, Bloomberg News reports. Commercial spyware vendor exploits used by Kremlin-backed hackers, Google says, as Russian group targeted Mongolian government with exploits used by NSO Group. Unpatchable zero-day and surveillance cam is being exploited to install Mirai, as unpatched Avtech IP camera flaw exploited by hackers for botnet attacks. NATO believes Russia poses a threat to the West's internet and GPS services. Threads starting to roll out the ability for Threads users who've turned on sharing to the Fediverse, the collection of social networking services, to see and like replies from people on other servers across Threads. Meta now allows preteens to explore Horizon worlds with parents' permission. In the UK, shops buying stolen goods from professional shoplifters, retail groups say. Dollar General stock price plunges 30% as company says customers don't have enough money to shop there. Lululemon, Hermes copies entice China's shoppers away from labels. Marijuana user cannot be banned from gun ownership, U.S. court rules. Illegal migrants do not have gun rights protected by Second Amendment, as per Federal Appeals Court. In Germany, for reaction to Solingen event, federal government agrees on security and migration package, as Germany tightens weapons deportation rules after fatal attack. Harris says, appointing a Republican to her cabinet would benefit Americans. Harris has 48% support to Trump's 47%, says Wall Street Journal poll. Vance urges Thiel to get off the sidelines and support Trump. Putin to visit ICC signatory Mongolia despite arrest warrant. EU to move forward with Russian asset plan regardless of U.S. U.S. threatens sanctions against countries hosting Russian banks. American archaeologist dies after Viking ship replica capsizes off Norway. Lonely dolphin may be behind series of attacks on swimmers in Japan. Amanda Stenberg says, the Acolyte being cancelled was not a huge shock after rampage of vitriol from toxic Star Wars fans. Samsung to display Galaxy AI One UI SmartThings Tizen improvements in October. Google quietly added dual screen interpreter mode for foldables to the Google Translate app. Spain blocks Hungarian rail bid over possible Russia ties. And for Talgo takeover, Brussels raises no objection to Spanish veto of Hungarian bid. Circles of Hungarian national arrested in the U.S. likely received hundreds of thousands of euros from Hungarian state in Russia. Recently in the U.S., a Hungarian national arrested on charges of conspiring to export 200 U.S. military-grade radios into Russia. In Nord Stream case, saboteur is said to have fled in a diplomatic car. Borrell asks EU to consider sanctions on 2 Israeli ministers, as EU foreign policy chief tables sanctions on hardline Israeli ministers for hate crimes, and EU's Borrell fails in attempt to impose sanctions on Ben-Gvir Smotrich. Canadians split on taking in more Gazan refugees, concerned about screening as per poll. Ryan Reynolds says it's time for an Oscar for stunt performers. Workers in UK to be granted right to demand 4 days week. Oprah Winfrey to interview Bill Gates, Sam Altman MKBHD, and others on AI during hour-long primetime event. India's student suicide rate surpasses population growth rate. Suicide rates in England and Wales reach highest level since 1999. Israeli companies banned from winning Irish defence contracts, announced Taoiseach, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ireland. In the U.S., Army signed $1 billion deal for massive order of Switchblade kamikaze drones. Israel launches large-scale West Bank raid, as minister calls for Gaza-style operation. 5 Palestinian gunmen, including top commander, killed by IDF at West Bank mosque. Top Hamas official Mashal urges resumption of suicide bombings against Israel. Lego to replace oil in its bricks with pricier renewable plastic. Shimano patents wireless electric cycling shoes that adjust automatically. Physicists accidentally found a new way to represent pi. Canada's 2023 wildfires released more greenhouse gases than most countries. Floods in Yemen kill at least 33 people, damage more than 200 homes. Possible record heat index of 82.2 degrees centigrade reported in southern Iran. Harris rules out fracking ban, threading needle on fossil fuels, and Kamala Harris defends policy shifts in first interview of U.S. presidential campaign. China promotes bamboo as eco-friendly substitute for plastic. Renewables generated 40% of global electricity for first time ever in 2023. France's Macron says giving Telegram CEO Durov French citizenship, the man with 4 passports, was a good thing, and arrested Telegram CEO Pavel Durov met with Macron several times before obtaining French nationality. Telegram CEO Durov indicted in France, banned from leaving country, as France charges Telegram CEO Pavel Durov, releases him on €5 million bail. Macron asked Pavel Durov to move Telegram headquarters to Paris in 2018, Wall Street Journal reports. Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh unable to confirm that Ukraine's F-16 was downed by friendly fire. Ukraine admits loss of F-16, which it says crashed while repelling Russian attack this week. Kiev announces plans to transport Azerbaijani gas to Europe instead of Russian by Podolyak. Russian central bank says new rate hike in September is not a certainty. Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway hits $1 trillion market value. First U.S. company outside of tech to do so. NVIDIA announces financial results for second quarter fiscal 2024, up 88% from Q1, up 101% from year ago. Wealthy are purchasing doomsday luxury bomb shelters amid social unrest, says founder. China's ambassador to U.S. says, no reason why China and U.S. relations should be zero-sum game. China Xi meets U.S. National Security Advisor as the two powers work to avoid conflict. TASS reports as China, U.S. failed to make progress in discussing Ukraine crisis, says U.S. Security Advisor. Kamala Harris pitches continuity in China Light first interview since nomination. Russian and Senegalese FM discuss development, security and bilateral meeting. Serbia makes a $3 billion deal to buy 12 French warplanes, in a shift away from Russia. China's international use of renminbi surges to record highs. Iranian hackers target U.S. in ransomware and espionage attacks. Vietnamese human rights group targeted in multi-year cyber attack by APT-32. Durex India spilled customers' private order data. China says brandy being dumped on local market, but won't impose duties for now. U.S. and European airlines pay more, lose out to Chinese carriers amid Russian airspace closure. Galactic Energy launches 6 satellites in third sea launch. Tencent, NetEase rethink Japan investments after yielding few blockbuster video games. Steam suffers major DDoS attack during launch of Black Myth, Wukong. F-Movies, the largest movie streaming piracy ring in the world, just got shut down. China ally Solomon Islands irked over conditions in Australia brokered Pacific police deal. Indonesia and Australia to hold complex defense drills, as security ties deepen. Afghanistan is grateful to Russia for support, announced Taliban's chief logistics officer. France to trial ban on mobile phones at school for children under 15. China's internet users near 1.1 billion. Driven by short videos and mobile payments. Uganda police find 24 human skulls at Kampala shrine. Cucumber shortage in Iceland triggered by viral TikTok trend. Officials probe death of Wells Fargo employee found dead in her cubicle 4 days after last scanning into work. Maduro says no one messed with Brazil when Bolsonaro contested the election. China's Communist Party brings in new rules to regulate faith, loyalty and performance. Church of England dropping word church to be more modern. Crypto.com taps Standard Chartered to offer fiat services to users globally. El Salvador's Bukele says Bitcoin strategy a net positive, but adoption lags. Binance CEO Tung rejects allegations the exchange froze all Palestinians' funds. Earth has planet-wide electric field that's equally important as gravity. New Horizons spacecraft measurements shed light on the darkness of the universe. International consortium with NASA reveals hidden impact of spaceflight on gut health. U.S. House committee plans for heap of crypto hearings in September. Crypto hacks surged to over $1.2 billion in 2024, Immunify reports. Crypto ATMs surged 17 times in Australia, amid concerns over use by bad actors. South Korean crypto firm Haru Invest CEO stabbed during fraud trial, police say. Kylian Mbappe's X-account hack fuels $1 million crypto scam. Backpage.com founder Michael Lacey sentenced to 5 years in prison, fined $3 million for money laundering. Quick commerce unicorn Zepto raises $340 million in follow-on round, valuation jumps to $5 billion. Decision in Apple tax case to be issued on September 10 by top U court. Affirm shares have best day in 3 years, surged 32% after earnings beat. Alibaba Tongyi Qianwen team launches Qwen2VL model to support real-time analysis of dynamic videos. Gmail users on Android can now chat with Gemini about their emails. ChatGPT's weekly active users have doubled since last year to 200 million. And 92% of Fortune 500 companies use OpenAI products. Promising antibiotic candidates discovered in microbes deep in the Arctic Sea. Chemists achieve PFAS-free synthesis of fluorinated pharmaceutical and agrochemical compounds. Ancient gene gives spiders their narrow waist, research reveals. Like people, vultures get set in their ways and have fewer friends as they age. New research busts the myth that crossbred designer dogs are healthier than pedigrees. Retiring a year later than expected increases the probability of dying before age 70. New York conman cleric Father Paul used $650,000 in phony charity donations to fund lavish lifestyle, plastic surgery, announced federal authorities. In Austria, daughter of doctor allegedly drilled open skull during surgery. Reportedly, Houthi arms dealers using social media to buy and sell weapons. UK banks brace for a lending boom on Labour's house-building goals. Indonesia reinstates full tax break for property purchases until December. Cuba sees 14 hours-long daily blackouts as economic crisis continues to deepen. South Africa's Dubai top envoy recalled in visa scam. Australia caps foreign students in bid to curb migration. Trudeau announces reduction in temporary foreign workers, suggests more immigration changes to come. Korean authorities eye budget bump with funds for chips, K-pop. Inflation in Germany fell below 2% for the first time in August, according to Deutsche Bank, as Germany confirms economy shrank in second quarter. UK shop prices fall for first time in almost 3 years. Fed cuts may send $1 trillion FX avalanche to China, Jen says. Chinese stock exchanges to stop releasing data on overseas fund flows. SEC's case against Kraken will proceed to trial, California judge rules. China's military to conduct armed patrols, live fire exercises near Myanmar border. As Myanmar junta set to lose rest of state to ethnic armed group. 3 months ago, powerful ethnic armed group in western Myanmar claims to capture base and hundreds of soldiers. Former Malaysian leader Muhyiddin charged with sedition for allegedly mocking former king. Japan scrambles fighters after Chinese military plane incursion. Indonesian palm oil output set to fall on dry weather. Old trees and Indonesia's incoming leader hopes to implement 50% palm-based biodiesel in 2025. UK to ease free-range egg labeling rules to cut bird flu costs. 8 months ago, DEFRA proposes changes to egg labeling rules to support British industry. Dam bursts in eastern Sudan, at least 30 dead and many missing. LG Electronics weighs India IPO to help chase $75 billion goal. Temu owner PDD plunges 18% after revenue, outlook disappoint, as China's PDD suffers $55 billion market cap wipeout after flagging an uncertain market. Boeing announces China commercial fleet to more than double by 2043 for growth and modernization. Coinbase base layer 2 hits 1 million daily active addresses, as base names go parabolic. Hong Kong regulator finds unsatisfactory practices at some crypto entities seeking full license. Report. Rhodium Bitcoin mining firm declares bankruptcy in Texas court. New Zealand mulls adoption of OECD crypto reporting standards. Russia initiates crypto trials for cross-border payments amid sanctions crisis. Ecuador's central bank announced as, "We do not have power to ban crypto." Glenn Powell-led Running Man reboot, directed by Edgar Wright, sets November production start at Paramount. Quentin Tarantino refuses to watch Toy Story 4 because Toy Story 3 is one of the best movies I've ever seen, and the perfect trilogy ender. I'm done. Mariah Carey says her heart is broken after mother and sister die on same day. Judge orders Martin Shkreli to turn over all copies of unreleased Wu-Tang Clan album. Foo Fighters donate My Hero royalties to Kamala Harris's campaign after Donald Trump uses song at rally. Trump and associates set to face Isaac Hayes' estate in court over use of songwriter's music. Jenna Ortega quit Twitter after seeing explicit AI photos of herself as a teen. Soldier in Alaska used AI to make fake porn of children he knew, federal authorities say. Malaysia planned to license social media platforms, sparks pushback, as tech giants urged Malaysia to pause plan for social media platform licenses. 1 month ago it had been announced as Malaysia to ask social media platforms with over 8M users to get licenses. CNN reports that Trump's businesses are raking in millions of dollars from Republican political campaigns, including his own. Missouri Attorney General's legal war against media matters shot down by federal judge. Federal judge rules Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act unconstitutional. Trump says we gotta restrict the First Amendment, and Donald Trump warns of World War III during speech in Detroit. Georgia governor inquires whether he can remove MAGA election board members after series of alarming votes. 1M plus ineligible voters removed from Texas rolls since 2021, Governor Abbott says. RFK Jr. suspends his presidential bid and backs Donald Trump before appearing with him at his rally, and RFK Jr. says he's been tapped for Trump's transition team. RFK Jr. beheading whale story resurfaces after he endorses Trump, and environmental group wants answers about RFK Jr. chainsawing a whale's head off. Tulsi Gabbard, who ran for 2020 Democratic nomination, endorses Trump against former foe Harris. EU plans 36% tariff on Chinese EVs, with lower duty for Tesla. Following U.S. lead, Canada to hit China with tariffs on electric vehicles, aluminum, steel, as Canada follows U.S., imposes 100% tariff on EVs imported from China. China's BYD beats Honda and Nissan in April to June term for the vehicles sold. J.D. Power study finds growing frustration with advanced tech. Xpeng aims to assemble EVs in Europe to blunt impact of import tariffs, CEO says. United States Department of Transportation releases seminal plan for nationwide V2X, vehicle-to-everything deployment. These technologies allow vehicles to communicate real-time information directly with other vehicles, infrastructure, and vulnerable road users to improve transportation outcomes across the board. Dutch watchdog finds Uber $324 million for unsafe transfer of driver data to U.S. In New Zealand, court rules Uber drivers are employees not contractors. When Boeing's Starliner comes back empty, it'll destroy the malfunctioning thrusters, making it impossible to study what went wrong. IBM to close China R&D operations, affecting 1,600 workers, claimed in reports. China's industrial strategy on collision course with top German export industries. Black Myth Wukong is still delayed indefinitely on Xbox Series XS due to a memory leak issue, as per a rumor. Black Myth Wukong becomes smash hit with over 10 million copies sold. In the most massive and expensive airstrike, Russia spent $1.2 to $1.3 billion on the missile attack on Ukraine on August 26, as Forbes estimates. Poland says drone likely entered its airspace during Russian attack on Ukraine. Wagner Group claims to no longer be fighting in Ukraine. In Russia's largest attack, Ukraine's defense forces destroy over 200 out of 236 Russian missiles and drones. Ukrainian drone attack damages high-rise in Russia's Saratov region, injures residents. Putin seizes $100 million from Google to fund Russia's war machine. Ukraine seeks UK green light to strike Moscow and St. Petersburg targets with Storm Shadow missiles. Hungary reportedly starts evicting some Ukrainian refugees from shelters based on new law, an EU executive to contact Budapest over eviction of Ukrainian refugees. Security services say Norway energy industry faces Russia threats. China and Saudi Arabia cease isocyanate exports to Russia. Telegram founders arrest part of broad investigation, French prosecutors say. As Telegram CEO arrested over probe into child porn, drug trafficking on app. Russians do everything via Telegram. Pavel Durov's arrest upends Kremlin military comms, and reportedly panic mounts on pro-war Russian Telegram channels after Pavel Durov's arrest. France's Macron says arrest of the head of the Telegram messaging app wasn't political. UE requests consular services for detained Telegram founder. Reportedly, Israel is buying Google ads to discredit the UN's top Gaza aid agency. Yahya Sinwar reportedly hiding in plain sight dressed as a woman. Pakistani judge acquits a man over spreading misinformation that sparked riots in UK. In the US, police officers are starting to use AI chatbots to write crime reports. Japan's police to deploy AI-powered drones in disaster-hit areas to deter looters. New startup wants to sell you sunlight after dark, using mirrors. North Korea's Kim calls for country's development of more suicide drones. In the U.S., Hungarian national arrested on charges of conspiring to export U.S. military-grade radios to Russian government end users. Former postal worker accused of intercepting drugs and delivering them to traffickers in New Jersey. More than $900,000 in drugs and cell phones seized at Edmonton prison. Half of South Koreans have chronic anger issues as per a study. France's Macron won't name leftist prime minister, prolonging political crisis. Donald Trump threatens to pull out of September 10 presidential debate, as Harris wants Trump's mic to stay unmuted during entire upcoming debate. Harris versus Trump election debate in the balance over muted microphones. Russian army good in winter fighting, claims Trump. At least 100 people killed in central Burkina Faso in latest jihadi attack. Denmark shuts embassies in junta-led Mali and Burkina Faso, following military coups. Paris commemorates the 80th anniversary of liberation from German occupation. Palestinian Authority to attend BRICS summit, apply for membership, and Palestine asked Russia for support ahead of Abbas visit to Gaza, ambassador said. Tusk government promises to shorten working hours. Australians now have the right to ignore work calls and emails during free time. LA to pay more than $38 million for failing to make affordable housing accessible. In Singapore, second richest man in China jailed for 6 years over $5 million crypto fraud. Opera reaches settlement with SEC over unregistered securities violations. SEC charges siblings over $60 million Ponzi touting a crypto trading bot. El Salvador sides with Telegram's CEO. Advocates free speech. Russian hacktivists target French websites in the wake of Telegram founder's arrest. Telegram says it is compliant with EU Digital Services Act after founder Pavel Durov's arrest. Shiba Inu announces launch of decentralized autonomous organization. Stablecoins hit record market cap of nearly $170 billion after year of growth. India's CBDC has 5M users, can be phased in gradually. Central bank governor. Ice cave collapse in Iceland kills tourist. Search for missing called off after whole group is accounted for. Australia sets record high winter temperature of 41.6 degrees. Video shows Grand Canyon Park visitors seek refuge in cave after flash flood erupts. Social platform X edits AI chatbot. After election officials warn that it spreads misinformation. World Bank halts paid advertising on X after CBS News finds its promoted ad under racist content. Court orders X to reveal investors, links to Putin's allies found. As a court filing unmasked the 100 investors in Elon Musk's X, with a Saudi prince, major VCs Diddy and Jack Dorsey. Tesla's Elon Musk shares first look inside Cortex supercluster at Giga Texas. Anthropic publishes the system prompts that make Claude tick. Files by Google gets ready to start summarizing your documents, as per APK teardown. Russians hit Kyiv hydroelectric power plant. Damage reported, and 7 killed in most massive Russian air attack. Ukraine says. Russia's deadly overnight barrage of missiles and drones hits over half of Ukraine, officials say. Russia says it disrupted Ukraine's power network and arms supplies with massive strike. Microsoft fixes ASCII smuggling flaw that enabled data theft from Microsoft 365 Copilot. Sonic Wall issues critical patch for firewall vulnerability allowing unauthorized access. Crayola trademarks the slightly earthy smell of its crayons. Darwin's fear was unjustified. Study suggests fossil record gaps not a major issue. Critical flaws in tracker GPS system expose users to remote attacks. ESET research discovers Engate, Android malware, which relays NFC traffic to steal victims' cash from ATMs. In Canada, Park and Fly reveals data breach affecting 1 million customer files. Most frugal woman in Japan spends $1.40 a day on food, saves enough to buy 3 houses by 34. Australia's Qantas blames coding error for 85% discount on first-class flights. Bald eagle feared injured turns out to be healthy, just too fat to fly after big meal. Apple to hold fall event on September 9th, new iPhones expected. Meta cancels its Apple Vision Pro competitor. Microsoft backtracks on deprecating the 39-year-old Windows control panel. Vigil makes controllable AI characters for memes and visualizing ideas. Amazon aims to launch delayed AI Alexa subscription in October. OpenAI supports California AI bill requiring watermarking of synthetic content. And Elon Musk says California should probably pass the SB 1047 AI safety bill. New study shows Alaskan snow crab population collapse in Bering Sea due to climate change. Salamanders are surprisingly abundant in U.S. northeastern forests, research finds. Widespread culling of crocodiles is not an effective way to stop attacks on humans, study shows. Public trust in drinking water safety is low globally. Study finds association with perceptions of public corruption. The largest known protein has been discovered in algae, and it's a machine that makes poison. Superconductivity study confirms existence of edge supercurrents. Webb finds early galaxies weren't too big for their britches after all. Uranus' 4 biggest moons may have buried oceans of salty water. Astronomers might finally have explanation for mysterious wow signal. Dr. Fauci was hospitalized with West Nile virus and is now recovering at home, a spokesperson says. World's first lung cancer vaccine trials launched across 7 countries. Mark Zuckerberg says White House was